Senator Bob Casey went on Fox News, and they were asking him basically, could the country get anything done if they're trying to impeach Donald Trump, and like would that prohibit regular proceedings from going on? Now, for me, this is silly. Like, as if impeaching Donald Trump's gonna like gridlock Congress or something. Like, this is silly, absolutely silly. But he did ask him also a couple of other important questions. Oh yeah, I'm not even gonna cover that part. But he did ask him some other questions about a $15 minimum wage and the COVID relief bill, and he actually had some interesting things to say.
You mentioned about the COVID relief and the stimulus plan around it. How does a push for a $15 federal minimum wage address some of these COVID issues up front? I mean, important though, I'm sure it is to you, sir. There are a lot of people who are saying, let's just get this focused on COVID-related issues, and now is not the time to be getting sidetracked on an issue that could be quite onerous, for example, to small businesses already hurting precisely because of COVID.
Well, Neil, I think when a president wins an election, they want to set the agenda for the issues that they talked about in the campaign. And raising the minimum wage is something Joe Biden talked about a lot, and he won the election.
So I understand that. No, you're quite right, Senator, but is now the time, now in this piece of legislation, the time to do that?
I think what he's trying to do is he made a bold proposal here, $1.9 trillion. And you know what, Neil, I'm glad he did. Because you know what sometimes Democrats do? We negotiate against ourselves. Why not present a bold vision for this proposal? And then I think ultimately a second proposal that's focused on jobs in the economy almost exclusively in the caregiving economy. But for now, on COVID, I think it was smart for him to make a bold proposal. Now,
he's absolutely right. A $15 minimum wage is something that we need. Now, as far as how the bill goes, my position was that it would probably be better to pass a standalone bill and to try to pass these other reforms later on. But then again, once I learned that Bernie Sanders is going to be the chairman, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it'll make sense to pass $15 minimum wage in the COVID relief bill if they're going to do budget reconciliation, because that means they're going to be able to pass it in both houses. Of course, we probably won't be able to get Manchin, but we'll get Hawley, so it'll definitely, this is a bill that can get passed by budget reconciliation. So anyway, listen to what he says there. He says, oftentimes what Democrats do is we negotiate against ourselves. He could not be 100% more right. I feel like this is what I've been saying. I heard Kyle Kalinske say this before on Secular Talk. I've heard Crystal Ball and Rising say this. The Rational National, the Majority Report, pretty much every single left outlet has said this. What Democrats do is they negotiate against themselves and they concede before they put a bill out. So, and this is the type of stuff, like, you go on Fox News and you have these Republicans asking you, oh, well, shouldn't you just do the relief bill? Why do $15 minimum wage? I don't understand why you're doing this. Some small businesses are hurting. We're in a pandemic. Exactly. We're in a pandemic, which is why we need higher wages for people. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Now, I know a lot of people will argue and say, oh, well, $15 minimum wage, how are we going to pay? How are people going to stay in business if they have to pay their workers that? First of all, the people who are paying their workers these low wages, so people who are paying workers minimum wage are usually big corporations like Walmart, for instance, right? They're one of the biggest employers in the country, and they pay people minimum wage, right? So if we increase minimum wage to $15, they will be able to afford it. They make massive profits, and they get huge tax breaks. They can afford it. Now, as far as smaller businesses, look, if you're a small business and you can't afford to pay your employees a living wage, I'm sorry, you should not be in business. And for people who are like, oh my God, how could you say that about small businesses? That's too bad, because that's how capitalism works, right? People love the free market. They love free market capitalism. Free market Capitalism says if you can't provide a product, then you can't make a profit. And if you can't pay your workers, guess what? You go out of business. Okay? Sorry. Now, of course, I don't want small businesses to go out of business. A lot have already went out because of the pandemic. So I think that the bill would propose raising minimum wage to like $15 like over the next couple of years so that people would have time to adjust and things like that, you know. And I don't know, the fact that people act like $15 minimum wage is such a ridiculous thing, it just goes to show you like how brainwashed we are in this country. Another argument I've heard people say is, oh, if you charge $15 minimum wage for everything, the prices of everything will go up. Like Big Macs will be like $20. That's utterly ridiculous. That is not true. In Sweden, their minimum wage I said Sweden. Is it Denmark? I think it's Denmark. In Denmark, their minimum wage is, I believe, it is Sweden. Sweden, their minimum wage is like $23. And, you know what? I'm not even sure if it's Sweden. It's one of the Scandinavian countries. Their minimum wage is about $23. Guess how much their Big Macs are? Oh, they're so much more expensive than ours that they're like a whole 23 cents more. So no, the prices of everything will not massively inflate. You know? So this is the right position to take. And Senator Bob Casey is exactly right. You put your agenda out there, you push your agenda, and then you negotiate. You don't capitulate to what you think the other side will like before, you negotiate. Like, think about, like, they could negotiate and be like, hey, we want $15 an hour. And they're like, oh, we're not going to pass 15, but we'll pass 12. All right, fine, great. Even though minimum wage should be way higher because the minimum wage in 1967 adjusted for inflation today is almost $24. So $15 is the bare minimum. However, if you could raise it to $12 over $7.25, that would be great. That would be progress, right? But what you don't do is just say, oh, we're not going to put this in the bill or we're going to just do the... No, you push your agenda. You have the majority. You make your voice be heard. You push your agenda. You fight for what you said you were going to fight for. And then if you have to negotiate later on, then do that. But don't negotiate up front. So, yeah, Senator Bob Casey is exactly right. And I want to make it clear, he's not a progressive. He doesn't support Medicare for all. But he is correct in this video, and he's correct in his position here. So, yeah, the Democrats should definitely push for $2,000 checks, not $1,400, because Joe Biden's already lying about his agenda, saying, oh, $1,400 plus the $600 you have. No, you said $2,000 checks. $2,000 checks is $2,000 checks. So, yes, this bill should push for $2,000 checks and the $15 minimum wage. Casey is absolutely right. This is the correct position.